I start with a chant, and then we go on to the satsang. Om Brahmanandam Paramasugadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadarsham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Ramnama. This is salutations to the Supreme Being, who is also the Supreme Teacher and also my personal teacher, Maheshwarnath Babaji and Sri Guru. So I know that this is given to me in the chart as Kriya workshop. So I know many of you would want to have Kriya, but we need to have a background on why we should do Kriya. What's the point? What is Kriya? Is there only one Kriya, or are there many other Kriyas? All these things have to be first looked into before we go into the actual Kriya. So please don't worry, before you leave, on the third day you will have Kriya. Don't be impatient. This is what I'm trying to say. So, first, Kriya practice and the spiritual search is not for only some peculiar kind of people. I believe it's for everybody. Yeah, we need to follow some rules and regulations, like you need to learn to paint, you need to have the discipline to do it. You need to study science, you know the basics you need. Beyond that, I think my job, which Babaji has given me, is to make sure that everybody thinks that they can also do it, and not meant only for people with only one kind of clothes or special hairstyle, or you know what I mean, all that kind of thing. And it cuts across nations. Well, we cannot deny that this science came from India in ancient times, because when the rest of the world was looking for various other things, there were a group of people seriously trying to explore the mind and go within and touch the core of one's consciousness. So therefore, well, it came from there. But the message is universal. It's nothing to do with just one nationality. Please understand this carefully. It's for all. In fact, I'm sorry to say this, but once people learn in the West, I keep traveling all over the world, I find that many people outside India take it more seriously. When you come out, people sit with the idea that, well, I don't know, let me understand. Yeah? So this is a good attitude to start with. So, we need to explore first to find out what is it that we seek before we look at Kriya. I will discuss the Kriya part a little later. Maybe evening session or tomorrow we'll come to that slowly. But what are we really looking for? All human beings. You, me, all of us. Now, in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, there is a beautiful Shloka. It says, Poornamada Poornamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. You see, in this whole Shloka, one word is repeated again and again, which is Purna. So the Upanishad says Poornamada, which means that is Purna. What does Purna mean? Purna means completeness, fullness, free of all bounds and boundaries, full freedom, not political freedom, full freedom, mind freedom. And the feeling of fullness which we generally don't have. We're so limited with ourselves, right? So, the Upanishad says Poornamada, which means that is Purna, which means the origin of this world, and also you and me, because we are part of the world, is from that completeness, that fullness. Then it says something else which we cannot digest, which is Poornamidam, this is also complete. But we don't find it as complete. We find we are incomplete. We find that we are limited. We want to expand. There's nothing wrong, I'm just saying. Naturally, it's like that. I want to expand my horizons, I want to expand my mind. Why? Because I feel it's not. It's limited, it's small. I need to expand my family, I need to expand my holdings, I need to expand the number of shares I have, I need to expand the number of houses, sometimes number of wives also. Anyway, that is beside the point. So this constant urge to expand, to grow, to move is because, according to the Upanishad, that completeness from which we have come also exists in us in a small form. And the mind is trying to find it. And it's trying to find it thinking that if you gather things in the outside world, you will find it. Unfortunately, I don't think we ever find it. I have a small car and I want a bigger car, and then I think, yeah, I'm happy for some time. Till I see my neighbor go in a bigger car, and I want a bigger car. Okay. I'm alone, and I think, now I'm happy, but I must share this happiness. Therefore I become two. So I look for a girlfriend or for a lady, or, I mean the other way also, if it's a lady, for a boyfriend. But does it really work? I'm not splitting anybody up, but do we really reach fulfillment? Fulfillment. Filled fully, fulfillment. So this goes on till in the end you know what happens in the end. When I was saying about this for many years, nobody listened to me. Then came this great COVID-19, and now everybody understands that you're here, there and gone tomorrow. With cases of healthy people going into the hospital and not coming back. So this is uncertain. So however much we try to complete ourselves, finally it goes on and on and on. And then we normally die unfulfilled. And then we are RIP. What is RIP? We don't know whether we really are resting in peace, but that's what it means, RIP, rest in peace. Now, can we also live in peace? This is what I'm trying to say. Why only rest in peace when we don't even know if there is peace when we are resting? My master, Maheshwarnath Babaji, said, RIP also has a special meaning. He said, rise if possible. Maybe rare cases are there, but generally not possible. So, this is what we are looking for. This search for happiness, this search for completeness is what takes us into worldly things, spiritual things. Even why do we go spiritually? Because we find that this is not taking us there, so there must be something else beside this. So we look for it, and then we look at the teachers who have said about it, and then we explore and try to find it. This is our journey. Yes or no? Yes, this is our journey. Yes. So, the idea of a spiritual aspirant should be how to find this fulfillment, independent of outside factors. I'm not saying you sell all your house and the monk who sold his Ferrari. You don't have to sell everything and go somewhere. While in your own situation, you can figure out that freedom is an internal matter, not an external matter. It's not something to do with what you have or what you don't have outside, but the very fact that when you go deep within your psyche, into your mind and the essence of your consciousness, there is true freedom. And it cuts across all nationalities, all everything, human mind. So, Kriya is also one of the ways to search for this. Now, the search begins when one sees how temporary the things that we normally search for are. Here today and gone tomorrow. Either the things I search or I myself. I'm here today and gone tomorrow. Now, you see M sitting here. How many more years will you see M? After some time is gone. All people who talked about immortality are not left here. They're gone physically, I mean. Huh? So, it's so temporary. Now I want to take you to another shloka from the Upanishad, from the Vedas. All study starts with the word, with the prayer, Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Now, Asatoma satgamaya. May I move from the unreal to the real. But we would say, no, this is real. Where would I go to the... I'm already in the real? Well, questionable. Are we? Really? Are things that are known to us through our five senses, are they real or temporary? Are they real in the sense that, are they doubtlessly clear, or is there some unclarity in the middle of it? Okay. So, that which is not permanent, that which is not forever, is called asat in Sanskrit. You know, Sanskrit is a language. You add an a in front of a word and it becomes negated. So sat is reality, asat is non-real. When I say non-real, it means it could be relatively real, yes, but not absolutely real. So the prayer is, lead me from this which I consider to be real, but which is actually not so real, to that which is real. Asatoma satgamaya. So in the beginning I said that we are having a satsang. I'm not having a talk. I want it to be a satsang. And a satsang consists of a dialogue between people who are looking at the same thing together. Yeah. It's a dialogue. You know the difference between a dialogue and an argument. An argument is, I think I know. This is, I'm right, and you think you're right. And then there's no meeting point. There's a clash. A dialogue is when you and I are sitting together. Unfortunately, we are sitting in a hall. It should be on the banks of the river somewhere, on a bench. Maybe next time. And then, together, we are looking at a problem and trying to solve it. This is a dialogue. So, why I'm mentioning this? Because this is a satsang. And I wish for you to ask questions and move forward. I'm not the type who keeps talking and listen and you're not supposed to ask anything. No. Then it doesn't become an Upanishadic dialogue. And the Upanishads are full of dialogue. The Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue. Everything is a dialogue here. You know Plato's dialogues. So, sat meaning the reality. Now I said that we may think this is real and therefore we don't need to search for anything else, but we can't be so sure. Okay? Every morning we see the sunrise. Yes? We see the sunset. Yes. Even a high school student will tell you that the sun is neither rising nor setting. Dad, it's the world that is moving. Or Mom, with the earth that is moving. The sun is neither rising nor setting. But that's what we see every day with our eyes. How much can you trust? Is seeing really believing? How much can we trust our eyes which say that the sun is rising and setting? Okay, I'll give you another example. I see you and you see me in a particular shape or a particular form. Why do we see each other in this form? Because we are born with a certain apparatus, the eyes. And our eyes, normal human eyes, Homo sapien eyes, are made of a certain kind of lens in the eye. A particular kind of convex lens. Of course, it's not concave, convex lens from birth. And therefore, through these lenses, I see you in this form. Now, example. You know the common house fly? It's supposed to have compound eyes, not one, compound eyes. Do we really know how it would see us if it looks at us, the common housefly, with its compound eyes? It may see us as a cluster of forms. Now, which is real? What the fly thinks or what I think? Just look at this carefully. Which is correct? For the fly, it's correct because it has compound eyes. It sees you like that. And I have a different kind of eyes. We all have, so we see the form in this way. So is it possible that nobody really knows what form one is? That we only depend on our instruments of perception and therefore conclude that this is what we are? What if we are born with the fly's compound eyes? What will we see? So, is what we see, can we trust everything that you see? Everything that our sense organs provide us with? They are the instruments of perception. Hearing, we cannot hear sounds which are beyond a certain frequency. Therefore, we think they don't exist. Right? Even if you ring a bell, you think now the bell ringing has stopped. No, nothing that is sounded ever stops. The frequency becomes so light that my ear cannot detect it. Now, it's a big thing, and we can go into the shape, the form, the color. I don't want to go into it right now. So, all I want you to understand is that the idea of the world that we have is only an idea. Nobody knows the reality. The idea of the world, the form, the shape, everything that we have is based on our instruments of perception. You know the great English poet Alexander Pope said something very interesting. He said, the difference is as great between the optics seeing as the object seen. Food for thought. Which is the real form? Which is the real thing that we think is so real that we hang on to it? Even if it moves a slightly little off, then we are worried when we look at the mirror in the morning. We all love our forms. Little bit of a wrinkle here. Oh, should we do Kaya Kalpa? In fact, one of the biggest beauty parlors in India is called Kaya. No, Kaya. So, seeing this, one begins to wonder, what is the real behind this? What is the sat? What is the essence of all this? Leave alone the forms, which are all quite relative. Leave alone the smells and all that we see with our sense organs. Leaving that aside, what is real? Also, let me again, before I move, do we really communicate? Ask this question sometime. You have an image about me, right? You must have seen YouTube or read the autobiography. Yeah? So you have an image about me. I don't know you, so I'm better placed because I have no image about you. But normally, when two people are set to communicate, it's not the two people communicating. Your image of me and my image of you is communicating. I also have some images. Oh, you're living in France. So it's a country of constant revolution. I have an image. Which is good. Without churning, you cannot find the truth. Churning is good. I'm not talking about political. So, I have an image and you have an image. So actually we are not communicating. Your image of me is communicating with my image of you. Can we set the images apart and communicate? I mean, this is also one of the ways of yogic meditation. Can you communicate without the image? Not easy. The reality. So therefore, a satsang, as I mentioned, why I'm saying all this is I wanted to tell you what a satsang is. One, a satsang is that you and I are looking for the sat, which is the reality, which is the truth. Not defined by anybody. Now, if you want to find something that is true, which is not defined by anybody, how do you go about it? But discarding all that is defined. There's a beautiful way in which Shankara, the Adi Shankara, approaches the reality by saying, Neti, not this, it can't be this, it can't be this. When finally you cannot go anymore, not this, then there is only that which is. Fortunately, all of us are part of that which is. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. You don't have to go to the Himalaya. I have been, that's a different matter. You can sit in your own house, make your room a cave. I mean, don't make it like a cave, like a quiet place to sit, and you can find it. This is one message I want to pass on. Don't think it's very difficult that you have to not eat food for 100 days and fast and no. Yogis don't starve. They eat food to keep the body healthy. And you know what happened to the Buddha. He was part of the Shravanas. And he fasted and almost killed himself because he thought the body should be tortured so that one can be free. And then one day he couldn't bear and he didn't find nirvana. One day he couldn't bear his hunger, so a poor lady came and gave him some food, so he ate the food. And then he felt quite good and relaxed, and he went and sat under the peepal tree, and he said, I found it. So, no need of torture for this. So therefore, this reality, sat, which we were trying to figure out without defining it, we were defining that which is not sat, asat. We as a group are trying to find. I mean, this is the meaning of a sangha. A sangha is a group of like-minded people whose minds are intent on finding something, sitting together and trying to find it. This is called a sangha, so therefore it's a satsanga. If any of you have read the Bhagavad, you will find that we think that we have reached the height of civilization. The great Bhagavad begins with this statement, these days when people are dull-witted, how am I to talk about this? I'm shocked. I thought when I started reading that I was a very intelligent person. And then it says, in this world of dim-witted people, how do we expound this truth? So, also, human beings are society animals, right? We need people. We need a society. We can't live alone. Very few people have managed to live alone in isolation. One among a million, really. The rest of us are all inclined to have groups, to be in society, to mix with people. We can't live in isolation. Now, therefore, if there is a sat-sanga, the Bhagavad refers to it as sadhu sat-sanga, which means if there is a person who is spiritual, and we get together and sit and try to figure out, then it becomes a sat-sanga. What happens if there is no sat-sanga? Since we are inclined to gravitate towards having a group in society always, it becomes a dursanga. But to avoid dursanga, it's good to have a sat-sanga. You know, in the evening at 7 o'clock, if we are not having a sat-sanga, or if we are not meditating, or if we are not involved in such activities, what would one normally do? Gravitate towards a place where people sit together. Again, it's a sangha. And celebrate the spirit, of course, which comes in the bottle. That's also spirit. So, how would you free yourself from that? By involving yourself in a sangha, which is looking for the other spirit. We can't live in isolation. This is the importance of a satsanga. Right. So, who we are going to have is a satsanga. So, in this workshop that we are going to have for the next 3 days, we are going to explore into the reality. We are going to explore into how to find that which is common to all of us but remains undiscovered. Maybe somebody discovered. I'm saying. This is what we are going to do. So, for this, I need to also again go back to the Upanishads. You know why the Upanishads? Because they are among the most ancient teachings on this subject that we have today. And especially the principal Upanishads, which are the first 11 Upanishads. So we hark back to the Upanishad, because there are also Yoga Upanishads, which for the first time refer to yoga. Patanjali came much later. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika came much later. 1,000 years ago, there is a set of Upanishads called the Yoga Upanishads, 20 of them. They deal with all the things that are presented later on in other yogic texts, ancient times. It's not so easily available, but I'm very happy to tell you that the Theosophical Society in Adyar has done a good job. They have got this thing translated many years ago of a person called Upanishad Brahmendra. You don't have to remember all this. Upanishad Brahmendra was a great yogi belonging to the Shankara Sampradaya, who made it a point to translate these in Yoga Upanishads into Tamil, because he lived in Tamil Nadu, which is the southern part of India. And the Theosophical Society has done a good job in translating it into English. Now this is available. You go to Amazon and check for the yoga. Don't practice anything there, unless you have a guide. Then you might stand in the middle of the square in the midday with the head down and legs up, so be careful. So, we go back to one of the principal Upanishads. Why are they called principal? Because they are the earliest Upanishads. And there are only 11 principal Upanishads, which have all been translated by all great teachers from different lineages. The Advaiti, the Vishishta Advaiti, the Dvaita. In India we have a number of darshanas and a number of, you will be scared if you see the number. So they have all the great teachers have translated these Upanishads, so they are called the principal Upanishads. Now, one of them I'm going to deal with, so that we'll again once more go carefully into what we are looking at, what we are seeking, through, for instance, the practice of Kriya. But please remember that the Kriya that I'm teaching here may not be the only Kriya on earth. This is something to remember. Because there have been many kinds of Kriyas. The Yoga Shastras are full of Kriyas. Kriya simply means a technique, a method. But when I say Kriya, I'm talking about that method which has come down to us through a certain tradition, which is Sri Guru Babaji. Yogananda Paramahamsa, in his autobiography, called him Mahavatar Babaji. But even before that, for 1,000 years, this being is referred to as Sri Guru Babaji. And it came to me through his disciple Maheshwarnath Babaji. And this is the Kriya I am talking about, which does not mean that there are no other Kriyas. It also does not mean that if you don't practice Kriya, you will not attain the reality. There have been many who probably did not practice any Kriya, as we know it, as we know it. Is it okay? As your microphones are really good. In India, I have a microphone which has to be kept here. You can hear my breathing. So, we should improve this. You have to tell me, I will tell them. So, and also, my Guru, Maheshwarnath Babaji, always used to ask this question. Some people come and bother him constantly. I want Kriya. He said, listen, what Kriya did in India, we have a great devotee, one who believed in devotion, a Bhakta, whose name was Mirabai, who was the wife of was a queen of a state in Rajasthan. She worshipped Krishna as a form, her favorite form of the supreme deity. And Babaji used to ask, so which Kriya did Mirabai do? No Kriya. So how did she reach her aim? Because she was so devoted, her mind. But it's rare to find such people. This is the problem, very rare. Suppose you have such devotion to, first of all, people don't even believe there is Godhead, so devotion, forget it. But suppose you have such devotion that you don't care what happens to you, you want only that, then it's like mirror, then you don't need any Kriya, nothing. But that's rare. For most people, we need some practice to move forward. Okay. Now on the other side, somebody who is not connected to the devotional practices, who is only into the intellectual understanding. People think intellectual, but it's not so, which is the Upanishad. In India it's called the Jnana Marga, the path of wisdom. Prominent example? Anybody? We are morning discussing. Stefan? No, Ramana Maharshi. Don't bring Krishnamurti into this at the moment. Well, I have also been associated with him. So, at the moment, in fact, I'm seriously working on a book called The Upanishads and J. Krishnamurti, trying to bridge the gap, kind of. Anyway, so Ramana Maharshi. So Babaji used to ask, what Kriya did Ramana Maharshi do? Nothing. So it's not like that. But you need some practice to get your mind free of all distractions. And from my experience, Kriya is a wonderful way of doing it. Plus many other things we will discuss when we go closer to Kriya. So whether you are a devotee or whether you are an intellectual seeker or whether you are none of this and you are a yogi type, Kriya is useful. This much I can tell you. Not for defending my tradition, but it's a fact. Anybody can practice this. So the Upanishad, let me take one of the Upanishads. And for our purposes, I'm going to take the shortest of the Upanishads available to us. among the principal Upanishads. The shortest, it has only 12 slokas. And this is called the Mandukya Upanishad. The Mandukya Upanishad has only 12 slokas, nothing more. And it doesn't say what you should do or should not do. It doesn't say what you should practice or should not practice. It just looks into, explores into the different states of consciousness which are common to all human beings. What are the different states of consciousness common to all human beings? Waking, sleep, yeah. So waking, I hope we are awake. Too bored. So the waking state of consciousness, which the Upanishad calls the Jagrata. Now, let me explain how the Upanishads go about it. In the Mandukya Upanishad, you know the word Om, Om is split into 3 syllables, starting with A, U and Ma. Om. Now the traditional explanation of Om is that A stands for creation of everything, and A, the first sound. Anybody can make that sound. First sound that a baby makes is A. And so therefore the beginning. And U is the sustenance or continuation of that which began, was created. And then the Ma, Om. You close your mouth when you say Ma, Om, which means the end of one cycle. Because if you need to make a new cycle, then you have to open your mouth again. So again Om. So creation, preservation, and I won't call it distraction, but regeneration. Because if the old doesn't go, there's no place for the new. It has to change. Somebody very cleverly defined it as a good definition for God: generator, operator, and destroyer. Anyway, so this is Om. Normally this is how Om is. But the Mandukya Upanishad explains it in a different way. It says the A starts for the waking state of consciousness, which we are all familiar with if we are awake. And the U stands for the dream state of consciousness, which also we are aware of. Most of us, all of us, dream at night. Many of us also dream in the day, daydreaming. Yeah? So dream is familiar to us. So the U represents the dream state. Okay? Now, Om, end, deep sleep. Nothing matters. We neither have inner cognition nor outer cognition. We don't know who we are, where we are. The boss and the worker both sleep. The president and the worker both sleep. Somebody may be sleeping in a luxurious bed, somebody may be sleeping on a plank, but they both sleep. And probably the guy who sleeps on the plank may be sleeping better than the other guy. We don't know. Quite possible. But we all sleep. And in sleep, sleep is a great equalizer. We are all the same. And why does sleep rejuvenate us? Because we actually don't know who we are in the sleep. Otherwise, there is a problem. I went to a gathering and nobody recognized me. So 2 days I have depression. I always say it's good that nobody recognized you because you had some time quietly. No. So in sleep it's all equalized. There is no outer recognition, there is no inner recognition, there is peace. In fact, sleep is like a daily rehearsal for the final sleep. Seriously. Which is why we are so rejuvenated. Because when you wake up, it's a new life. We don't admit it, but it's a new life. We bring all that we had gathered together, push it into today and spoil it. But actually it's a new life. Which is why during sleep, our body is like a dead body. I mean, functions like digestion, circulation go on. It's not under our control anyway. So it goes on. But it's like, that's why when we wake up in the morning, the body begins to smell a bit. We need to brush our teeth, we need to wash, we need to have a bath. If you continue to sleep for 10 days, it will be almost like a dead body. It's a rehearsal, little rehearsal we do. But we don't take lessons from it, but it is essential. If there was no sleep, the world would have been madder than it is now. It's already mad, but it should have been worse. The maximum medicine sold on the drugstore is for sleeping. And maybe to remain young, but mostly sleeping. So sleep is so important. And the Upanishad says, look at these three states which are common to all human beings. In waking, we are conscious of the outside world, we are conscious of ourselves. In the dream. Now this is a very interesting state. The Upanishad calls it Swapnavastha. It is also called Tejasa. If Tejas means light, energy. Now, why is it called Tejasa? Because even though when you dream, your eyes are closed and everything is dark, you see the dream in full light inside. There is some artificial light out there which we see. So, and dream is a very interesting state to ponder over. In fact, about the dream state of the Mandukya Upanishad, I think Adi Shankara, the great commentator on the Upanishads, has probably written 100 pages in his Karika. It's an interesting state. And it's common to all of us. Why is it so interesting? Because when you are dreaming, when I and you are dreaming, we really don't know it's a dream. And rarely yes, but mostly not. So in a dream, rarely of course, but mostly, we don't realize that we are dreaming. It's so real. It's so real that when you cry, the tears come out even in your body, which is asleep. And there are many kinds of dreams. And the dream is so real that when you wake up, you're still not sure if it is a dream. If in the dream you are chased by a leopard, there are no leopards here. Suppose you are chased by a leopard, what do you do? Normal reaction? Then you know, no, there is no leopard, but there was one. And it's so real that your heart is still palpitating and you're sweating profusely. It was so real. But if you say when you're dreaming, this is a dream, no, it's a reality. So some great sages, rishis said, what if this was also a long dream, but you wouldn't say it's a dream now, if I tell you? Because it's so real. Maybe there is a state when the human mind wakes up from this dream and says, oh my God, what a long dream. Huh? Maybe. Realm of possibilities. So, when you're dreaming in the dream world, the waking state is not real. When you're waking, the dream is not real. Relatively, they are not real compared to each other. Anything that is relatively not real, according to Vedanta, is not real. It has to be absolutely real, otherwise it cannot be real. Okay, so this is the dream sleep. Now what happens in deep sleep? There is one thing that differentiates dream state and waking state. You know what? Waking state, when you finish the dream, you are status quo. You are continuing as you are. But in the dream, every night it changes. There is no status quo. In one dream, you may be a butterfly. I don't know how many have dreamt that. But in another dream, you may be an ogress or whatever. But it stops the moment the dream is over and you are back to, oh, I am so and so, I am. That continuity is there. That is the difference in waking state and dream state. Okay. Now the deep sleep, which is called Shushupti. So, Jagrata, Swapna and Shushupti. Shushupti, deep sleep, is interesting because, as I said, you are in bliss. You don't know anything. You're in complete bliss. If you sleep well, I mean. You are in deep bliss and you don't want to be disturbed. How many times have we in the morning to wake up, set up the alarm, and how many times have we switched it off? Because we don't want to get out of this bliss. Right? So you keep switching, and after another minute I'll wake up. So switch it. Why? Because there's such bliss. I want to come out of it. Why? I have no communication with anybody. I have nothing to worry about. I'm deeply. So what does it mean? When you wake up, we say that it was a blissful sleep. And in the border between waking up and sleeping, you kind of feel the bliss. It's nice, and I want to go back. But when you wake up fully, you don't remember it. But you remember that there was a blissful state. Which means, even though in deep sleep you are not apparently aware of the bliss, there certainly was somebody enjoying it inside. There was somebody, some entity enjoying it. And that entity wants to continue enjoyment, so it doesn't want to wake up. But there was an identity, there was somebody who was experiencing the bliss of deep sleep. Now, according to the Upanishad and according to our yogis, if by chance, in a rare case, an individual wakes up in the deep sleep, which means normally we are not aware. Suppose in that deep sleep I get awareness and I'm aware, this is called Turiya. Unfortunately, it's not possible to get to Turiya through deep sleep. Otherwise, there is no need of Kriya, no sadhana. Deep sleep. There is a fever, it used to be called the African sleeping sickness. Came from something called a trypanosoma gambiense. It is a mosquito bit you, and then you slept and you slept and you slept and you never got up. It's not that. So suppose, unfortunately, you cannot reach Turiya through deep sleep. That is not the way. But maybe one can reach Turiya through the practice of sadhana, through the practice of Kriya, through the practice of other forms of sadhana also, where you realize that the true entity that enjoys the waking, the dream and deep sleep is one. And that enjoyment is not even dependent on any of these states. It is independent. And you are that. Mistakenly we think we are so and so, but we are actually that, which the Upanishad declares with the statement, Tat-tvamasi. You are that. I don't know if anybody has read Nisargadatta Maharaj. In one of his conversations, he said, I am that. But it was very funny. The book was written by somebody who, now this Nisargadatta Maharaj was a quite unusual yogi. He ran a small pan bida shop in the back streets of Bombay. He was not even had an ashram, nothing. And he didn't teach much. He just used to live there. And this is not to be imitated. He also used to smoke. Please, not to imitate. Not good for the lungs. He did. Probably he didn't care for his lungs. Anyway. So, Nisargadatta Maharaj's conversations were picked up by somebody. I think, do you know who picked? Stefana is well aware of.
Westerner, I think.
Huh? Westerner, but who? Maybe Swedish or somebody, I don't know. So he picked it up and he translated it to English and he called it, I am that. That. The witness which is free of all states, but which is there in all states. So during the last periods of his life, maybe 1 year before he passed away, I met Nisargadatta Maharaj. I was quite young. So we had a conversation. He said, "Do you want a cigarette?" I said, "No." Then he said, "Chai?" I said, "Yes." So we had a cup. Nobody was there. A cup of tea. He did not encourage people from coming. That's a good way to live, right? You pretend to be mad or something, nobody comes to you. So, so then we had a cup of tea and we were talking, and I said, "But Maharaj, I have heard there is a book called, I have read it, it's called I Am That. Have you?" He said, "What language?" I said, "In English." "Huh." I said, "I am that." I said, "It's written, I am that." Then he looked at me for some. "Oh," he said, "some person from abroad has written this." I said, "Yes." Then he said to me, suddenly laughed, and he said, "But I am this." These are great beings with no pretensions whatsoever. I have met several of these people. You can't make out. They might be running a tea shop or something. So, now what is the motto of this? Respect everybody. You never know who is with you. Doesn't require any special outfits. It's 11 o'clock. So we have a break. I was going to tell you an interesting story, but we have a break.